Good morning, gang. Happy Thursday. I hope you are all doing blessed. Welcome back to the YouTube channel. This is Liam. If you're new here, hopefully you guys are going to enjoy the kind of content that I throw out. It's basically just daily market analysis. So that basically means I will cover the major pairs for the day and just cover what I think and what I predict will happen from a technical standpoint. So hopefully you guys get the value that you guys are seeking, free value as well. So again, make the most of it for sure. So going into today, before we do, I just want to make sure that you guys understand that the content on this channel is for educational and informational purposes only. I am not a financial advisor, and nothing shared in these videos should be considered financial or investment advice. Trading and investing always involves risk, and you should always conduct your own research before making any financial decisions, and understand that any past results or anything discussed on these videos basically do not give you guaranteed results. You are responsible, as always, for your own financial decisions. Okay, now let's get straight into the charts. So hopefully you guys can see my screen again. Yeah, we should be able to. Perfect. So before we do jump into the technical side, I would just want to quickly cover what is going on today. We have NFP. So NFP is basically a big news event. So today is going to be a heavy news. This week, obviously Monday was a good week for myself. I didn't trade yesterday. I'm not entered no trades. So I'm probably thinking for myself just to sit out for the rest of the week. I'm not too sure, or to see how obviously today goes with NFP and then capitalize on it tomorrow going into next week. That's my main thought process going into today and obviously this week in general. So as you guys can see, we have obviously heavy news at half two. NFP, which is the big main one, unemployment rate, unemployment claims. So yeah, going into this afternoon, make sure you guys are fully aware of your timing, your positions on the charts, and make sure that you're aware of the news events that is going to be happening. So that leads me straight into the charts. So we're going to start off with dollar. As you guys can see, been saying for a long time, it's just extremely bearish. One thing you'll be able to notice that is once we obviously had this bearish movement here, we had a slight pullback and then we had another meltdown here. So if you look at the charts from a naked eye, you'll be able to see that this, with where the imbalance is, this daily candle here, which was Friday's daily candle, has been our daily supply candle, which is where we are getting the reaction from as we speak. So going into the 4 hour, what can we see? So going into the 4 hour, you can see that we obviously identified the range that we was in from, these highs to this lower low. This was our last 4 hour break of structure. Now, again, yesterday, I did talk about this supply zone. Where is it? This supply zone here from a 4 hour perspective. And the reason I talked about that supply zone rather than this supply zone was simply because we already taken out liquidity. So this punched above. Yes, we didn't mitigate this 1 hour supply above, but we did mitigate the 4 hour and we took the highs out here. So because we took the highs, took liquidity, and then we had that movement down, I was expecting the market more so to come towards this supply. Now, as you can see, and this is why you'll never be 100% right with trading. What happened is, let me just quickly get rid of this actually. What happened was, if you go back to the YouTube yesterday, or the rest of this, the last week, well, this week, should I say, you'll be able to notice that we did have this supply, that 1 hour supply here, which was unmitigated. Now, why did the market decide to punch above this supply area and come into this supply? Well, first and foremost, we still left some liquidity here. We still left some, liquidity, as well as this 1 hour supply candle. So again, what do I always say to you guys is the market's always looking to seek liquidity and rebalance itself. So, looking at this, you can see exactly it's used this high here as liquidity. So we've taken not only these highs, we're taking this high again, which you can see, and then we tapped into this unmitigated supply and filled in the rest of this imbalance. And now that's why we've got this movement away. So, pretty clear, obviously. Yesterday we was looking more so this, but we still had this 1 hour supply area, which we have talked about, which was unmitigated with imbalance. So let's get rid of that imbalance now. So what are we looking for from a 4 hour? Well, as you guys can see, obviously now that we're breaking down, the candle here is not exactly the nicest to understand where to look for shorts with the dollar, unless you obviously have this big candle here. And it's easier to get this candle and say, this is our 4 hour supply candle. This is where you need to be looking for. Now, of course, that anyone can do that. What we're trying to do is we're trying to refine the entries to the lower time frame. So I'm going to cut the 4 to the 2 hour. Now, the reason I'm going to cut the 4 to, so let me just put that on mute. So the 2 hour is because I want to see if I can see a little bit of a refined area. Now, straight away, I can notice this 2 hour candle, which is still a large supply candle, but it is a, 2 hour supply candle. Let's mark that out, 2 hour supply candle. Now, of course, again, if I cut that down to the 1 hour, what can I see? Well, I can see a 1 hour candle here, which still has an imbalance above. So that would be a 1 hour supply candle. And we also have imbalance here. So 1 second, imbalance here. So you're probably thinking, okay, amazing, but what are you actually thinking? Are you thinking bearish? Are you thinking bullish? Well, look, this is why I'm saying going into NFP, if I'm not 100% sure of where I should be looking for the shorts, where I should be looking for the longs from, then I ain't going to participate. As simple as that. Now, one thing that I would prefer to see happen is this low be broken. Now, as you can see right now, and when I say broken, I mean broken is in candle closure below this, candle closure below, because then we can understand that we would potentially have a new range. We would potentially have a new range to then see a pullback into, some area here and carry this downwards. As of right now, I'm still predominantly waiting for this range to be met. So I'm still thinking, well, I'm not really too sure that this is not a candle close. I'm not really too sure that, we're just going to get selling pressure. What could happen is could we punch above going into New York, into more of this imbalance, potentially even into this supply, and then get that true movement away. Could we rebalance the market, take out the equal highs that we have pretty much here, and then see that movement away? Of course, we could see that. So, we just need to be patient. We just need to be patient with the dollar right now. And again, like most people, I always say most people, or anyone should I say, even the professionals, quote unquote, who are inside of the markets on a big news day, they don't have a clue what's going to happen. Yes, we can look at the economy of the dollar, and we can look at the other economy of the different currencies, and we can get a insight into what we think the dollar is going to do because of the state the US, or we can vice versa with the Great British Pound or the Euro or whatever it is. We can obviously look at the economy and see what we think is going to happen due to the economic state. But again, like technical standpoint is we're having a guessing game, really. We are having a guessing game. Some people disagree, but again, show me, I've never seen anything different. You're best off putting 50-50 if you was to, this is not me telling you to do this, but I mean, most people who trade news, it's a 50-50. They're buying or selling, and they understand that they're either going to lose or going to win. Sounds simple, of course, but I mean, if you're going, right, just for news, I'm going to buy. You are just putting your money on the buy, knowing that it is what it is. I'm happy to risk a certain amount. So let's wait and see what happens here. Are we going to punch above? Are we going to go a bit lower? But obviously for me, predominantly my main thoughts are truthfully, selling. But also look what's happening here. Just quickly, just caught my eye. So obviously we're in this range, but if you look at the pattern that's created here, we had consolidation, then we broke out, then we punched above this 1 hour high. In fact, let me redo that again. From a 1 hour perspective, if we was to go down, we had this, we had a pullback, then we had this, then we broke this 1 hour higher, lower high. Now, then we failed to go and create a new lower low. We created what? A higher low and a new higher high. So if we was to carry on bullish, because this is a big bullish range, this could also be the next area, which is where we're reacting from now. Almost, we're reacting from now. This could be our next area where we see the catapult. Here, we're filling in that imbalance. Could we tap in below and then go? So this is why, again, me personally, I'm sitting on my hands going into today. But yeah, I would like to see the sells. We filled the liquidity. We filled the imbalance. We took liquidity, and we are, from a daily perspective, extremely bearish. So until I get this high broken, I'm only in for the shorts on the higher time frames. So that leads me into Euro USD. Now, Euro USD hasn't met my demand area. So if you look at this scenario, you'll be able to notice that, of course, this is still my 4 hour higher high and 4 hour higher low. Obviously what we was expecting is build up of liquidity, tap, and then go. Um, and you can see we built up the liquidity. We then tapped into this imbalance here. So could that be the catapult now to carry this on upwards? Yes, 100% it could be. But again, we've got to just wait and see what happens because we still left imbalance and we still have this 4 hour demand area. So, could this be early inducement to basically catch people out and say, look, get in now for buyers, this is what you need to look for. So, me personally, if I was sitting on my hands today, which I am, what I'd be looking for is I would just simply looking for a dip below. I would be looking for my predominant thoughts would be I'm willing to lose this trade idea here to go like this and not get in to find this better entry and to use this as liquidity. That's just my thoughts through my experience. I would rather see if it does this and we tap back into a 1 hour demand area here, for instance, I'm okay with that if I miss it because then I'll just catch the next one. Because for me, there's too much liquidity, too much what's it called? Too much imbalance below here. If we actually refine the imbalance now, and there's a fresh demand area that we could still tap into that's unmitigated. So we still have this imbalance here. So that's why I would prefer that. That's why I prefer that. So 1 hour perspective. We reacted out to this 1 hour supply. Let's say the market on the dollar does go bullish. The reason if it does go bullish, then obviously we are basically reacting from this supply zone here. We're reacting from this supply zone here, still, just because if you look, this is where 1 hour higher low, 1 hour higher high, change of trend on the 1 hour. Higher low, lower high, lower low. That's where the other 1 hour break of structure is. That's where the 1 hour break structure is. So rebalance the market. Could we see this happen into this demand area? And then we make a decision. If it melts through, then again, we just capitalize on the trend that's happening here. So yeah, let's see. Or, we just go carry on bullish. That's obviously another thing that can happen. We carry on bullish from here, we break a new high, and then we reevaluate where we think the market come into from this higher low to the new higher high. So hopefully that makes sense for you guys on here. Going into GBP I'll be real, man. I've not liked the way the GBP has been moving. I'm going to stay away from this. I think I told you guys yesterday I took a loss on GU. I can't remember what it was, but was it yesterday? No, day before. So I'm just staying away. Like the way that she is moving is not nice or clean as EU for me. But you can see, obviously, we have this this big daily leg. We have a lot of imbalance to refill. So of course, we have this daily demand area below. But if you look at the 4 hour, what's going on? But if you look at the 4 hour, I was waiting. Yes, we have this there's a 1 hour demand area here, and we also have this imbalance, which is where the market come into. But for me personally, I was waiting, as you guys will know, I was waiting for a reaction off this area here. That's where I was waiting for the reaction. So of course, we dip below that. We've taken out these equal lows now. And now we're slowly starting to move away. So for me personally, let me just get rid of this noise here. So for me personally, if you look at the 4 hour, yes, we're reacting from this demand and we expect it to be bullish if the dollar's going to be bearish. But if you look at this, you can see that the market higher high, higher low, higher high, we come down, failed to go and create a new higher high. We then created a lower high, lower low. So GU is looking different, basically. And obviously for me personally, where would I like to see the market react from? Well, it would be from around this probably area here, if it was from a 4 hour supply. But again, I'm not confident with GU. I'm not going to come in and say like I know or I think I know what's going to happen, because it's just been doing the opposite to what I've been wanting, and that's part of technical analysis. People think they learn a strategy, and the strategies, works for a certain period, and then they think it's 100% right all the time. You'll never learn a strategy which is 100% all the time. Never, ever. And if anyone ever tells you that, run away. Run away from them. But yeah, looking at this, let's see what happens with GU. This is our 1 hour demand. We had some imbalance below this as well. Yeah, not strong enough for me to obviously buy from. That's just me, personally. So yeah, GU, I'm not really too sure on. I'm gonna see what happens after today with that. AU, pretty clean. Didn't quite tap into the demand area that we have. Um, obviously, and we also haven't brought this. We have pretty much filled a lot of that imbalance in. So there's two scenarios that I've been waiting for is, of course, we react from where we're reacting from right now, which is probably a 1 hour demand area in this. This should be. We can refine that, and we just carry on bullish. So we just carry on bullish, and then we can, obviously look for a new leg to participate on a pullback. Or we, of course, NFP does a madness, drops it into this demand, and then we get that, that big move away. Of course, we have a lot of imbalance below here as well. So, but from a technical standpoint, this is our last 4 hour higher low, and this is our last 4 hour higher high. So, yeah, let's see what happens. We do have that imbalance between this area here still. So, and a fresh demand. So yeah, let's see what happens going into AUD USD. 1 hour pretty much is from where the imbalance started. So yeah, I don't know, man. For me personally, I'm gonna obviously wait to see, what happens if we get lower into this area. Because if you look at this scenario here, we have a fresh demand area around here, 1 hour demand, and we also have a fresh 1 hour demand still unmitigated here inside of that 4 hour demand. So with a little bit of imbalance and this low, and that could be taken. So yeah, man, let's wait and see. Going into today, this is not good enough for me to even look for buys from personally. So yeah, I'm just gonna wait and see what happens with that. NZUSD, NZUSD was pretty clean to be fair. It's actually reacted from this 4 hour supply. But if you guys remember yesterday, it's worked out okay, I guess, in regards to the area that we talked about. Yesterday we specifically talked about the fact that these lows were open inside this 4 hour. And I was saying that obviously this is our valid higher low and our valid higher high. So we was either going to do one or two things. We was either going to react from this area here, as a 4 hour demand, or we was going to take the lows. And as you guys can see on a 1 hour and tap into this 1 hour demand here, take the lows, tap into this 1 hour demand, and then we go. So, looking at that, it worked out clean. I'm going to get rid of this 4 hour demand as we speak because we can focus on that 1 hour. And then we can see what's going on currently again from the 4. And as you guys can see, obviously from a 1 hour, what's happened here is if you look, we had 1 hour higher high, 1 hour higher low, 1 hour higher high, 1 hour higher low, failed to go and create a new high. We actually then created what? Lower high because we've broken down and created a new lower low. So from a 1 hour perspective, we are bearish. We are bearish from this lower high to this lower low. And that's why we're getting this reaction from here right now. We are basically trapped between supply and demand. Demand, supply. We are trapped because, from a 1 hour, what we really want to see is, let's say the 4 hours like this, which it is, and we got our higher low, higher low, higher high, higher high. We have to understand that what we basically want to happen is when the 1 hour is, downtrending and we hit a demand area like this, we basically want to see a change of trend in a 1 hour to give us confidence that the 1 hour that the 1 hour is in alignment with the 4. So what that basically means is we basically then want to see like that high broken. So it's gone from 1 hour downtrend to 1 hour uptrend. And then we look for the longs. So we're in a scenario, let's make this red so you guys can know what I'm talking about. The 1 hour is red. So we're in a scenario where if you look at this and then look at this, we've got the 4 hour leg, 1 hour trend. Realistically, what we want to see right now is this high broken and then potentially look for that. That's what we would predominantly want to see. Of course, if you want to sit on your hands even more, then you'd have to wait and see for this high to be broken. But obviously, that is pretty much near the top. So again, that would the second scenario would be if we can get that for a bullish range. So as of right now, what I'm trying to say to you guys is we delete this. As of right now, 1 hour is still in control. There should be a 1 hour supply, 4 hour supply, which there is, which is in control. And as you guys can see from this demand, we've reacted and we've had a little pullback right now. So this is a scenario that we're in. So realistically, should we be looking at bullish? Should we be looking at bearish? For me personally, from a 1 hour perspective, because 1 hour's supply is in control, we should be looking at bearish. So, we should be looking at trying to get in shorts on a pullback maybe to this area, maybe potentially, even though it is not really taking out any highs, but into like this supply area. That's until we get until the 1 hour is in alignment with the four. And what could happen is we could just melt away from here, and then we could, react from a lower time frame demand, and we could just see, mixture, and then we carry on. So let's see, let's wait and see. But hopefully that makes sense to you guys. On here, if I just quickly go back down to the one, let me just get rid of this. Let me just get rid of this. If we quickly just go back down to the one. Yeah, there. I don't know, man. What time is this? 9. That's Asian high. So again, what could happen is even just a punch above this. If we don't mitigate to carry on from here, we could punch above this. If we get punch above, fill in the rest of this imbalance, tap into this 1 hour supply, and then do that. But of course, again, I'm not saying I'm doing that. I'm not saying I'm doing that. I'm chilling. I'm chilling for NFP. There's a saying, by the way, I learned this from one of my mentors. NFP stands for no fucking problem, but not for me. My NFP stands for there is a fucking problem. Okay, this has been beauty, by the way. This has been an absolute beauty. Let me show you guys and focus on daily, of course. In fact, let's just go straight to the four. You guys obviously know what we've been talking about. It's been beautiful. I'm not gonna lie. USD CAD has been an absolute sexy pair. As you guys can see, we caught a beauty here from a 1 hour supply. It was a 19 pips, so there's one more. And we target the lows of 2.5, and it currently has done a 1.43. But if you would have aimed for like a 1 to 3, it would have been pretty much around this area here. But as you guys can see, absolute beauty. And if you just look at the trend line, this is what I like to see is clear structure. Just clear structure. And now as you guys can see, now we've got a new range from the 4. So our new range now from the 4 is, let's mark this out, is from this high here. Let's make it, nah, that's an ugly color. Let's make it black to this low, to this lower low. I was gonna say higher low. And we've had this 4 hour trend here. Break of structure. 4 hour break of structure here. So of course, from a 4 hour perspective, we are bearish. So what would I expect the market to do? Well, I would expect the market next to react from around this area here, around this 4 hour supply area here. So what I would like to see is, we get 1 hour trend into the supply, and then that's what, pardon me, that's what creates the next 4 hour structure. So that's what I would like to see. But I'm going to show you guys, because a lot of you guys will miss this. But Yes, we're bearish, and yes, everything is bearish, of course. Can you notice something from the naked eye? Can you notice something from the naked eye? Why are we slowing down a little bit here? Why could we potentially slow down a little bit here as well? Well, first thoughts is hopefully some of you guys can see, but we have this daily demand here. Now, again, I'm not saying this is a valid demand because we are very bearish. It is a valid demand, but I'm not saying it's the demand that you need to look for buys from because we are extremely bearish inside of the markets. But, and it's a big but, if this was to be the catapult to carry on bullish, this area here, which we're reacting from as a daily and a 4, would be the perfect place to catch, probably a swing trade if it was to go from bearish back to bullish. So again, what I'm trying to say to you guys is this 4-hour range is our main priority. But if there's a possibility for me personally to look for buyers upwards into the supply and try and trap the market from buying and also selling at the same time, being in a buy position from this demand, and then being in a sell position from the supply, and then obviously making a decision to either go break even on one, whichever one I like, or take a loss on one. Because let's say the market does carry on, this could be a huge swing trade. Why? Well, the reason for this is if you look at this, how beautiful this little bit of a trend line, we are creating here. We are creating a lot of trend line, liquidity. One touch, two touch, that was a manipulation, but it's three touch, four, five. So we could see the market, induce people into the supply. And if it makes sense, of course, that's where we get this new position. So that's what I'm going to be looking at for both. I'm not saying don't look for shorts, don't look for longs. I'm saying to you guys, just be patient. Let's see if we can trap the market. So let me just have a look at this quickly. What I'd be personally waiting for to see if we do would be this, and then I'd be trying to long it from here. I'd be trying to long it from this position. Obviously, I don't know what the risk reward will be, but and then I'll be analyzing what happens from here. If I can see that we're reacting, not nice, and I think it's going to be moving away from this supply, I can either move break even, or I can just be happy with the loss. Let's say we get the sell here, and we get a good reaction, and I'm happy with the loss of this 1% because I'm in sells as well. So, that's what I'm going to wait for and see what happens. But that is a valid beauty of a 4-hour supply as well. Imbalance, 4-hour supply, very similar to this, very similar to this, so on and so on and so on and so on. So USD CHF, a little bit more choppier. Well, not a little bit, a lot more choppy. If you look, we've been in this range now from pretty much 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, going into our 16th, 16 times by 4 because I'm not good at math. 16 times by 4 hours, 64 hours. 64 hours inside of this range. Boring. So we're going to wait for NFP. We have this supply area up here, which, I was hoping what USD CAD has done, I was hoping I was going to get this from here, punch above and then carry on down. But we haven't had that just as of yet. So for me, there's no point in analyzing a 64-hour sideways movement. You can pretty much clearly see that this is my 4-hour range from here to here. You can see that the high is created and the lower low, lower high, unmitigated supply, imbalance to fill. So, you can probably see clearly where I'd be wanting to basically look for the shorts from. So yeah, pretty easy to understand. And a USD Japanese yen. USD Japanese yen is inside a 4-hour supply as we speak. So this is our 4-hour lower high. Let me just make this a bit bigger. Our 4-hour lower high and our 4-hour lower low. Let's just change this to a 4. Our 4-hour lower low. So we've got our range. You can see that we've come up with filled in this imbalance. And then we mitigated this supply. So we mitigated this supply, filled in the rest of this imbalance that we had. Probably a bit more clear on the 1 hour to see. And then we have moved away from that. So my next supply zone is here. So, we can see that we're slowing down in this area. If we're going to move down, this is where we're going to potentially go from. And if I look at the higher time frames, we have quite a lot of liquidity to basically seek. Like if you look at this here, we've got one low, two low. There's so many lows below here which we can attack even below this area here as well. And we are overall extremely bearish on this pair. So it does make sense. That's what I've been looking for. Pretty easy and self-explanatory to understand. Um, but yeah, man, let's just see what happens with USD Japanese yen. Beautiful movement away. Imbalance still to fill. Maybe wait for a lower time frame entry and see what happens for myself. But yeah, that's pretty much it for today, guys. NFP, as I said at the beginning of the call, please be aware. Please be aware, but also please just be, patient with your strategy. Please be patient with your analysis and so on. That is at half two. What I always think can happen is if you are unsure what to do, wait until after, wait and see what, let's say the NFP does this and it breaks this low, you got imbalance, you got a clear supply. Would it not make sense then to go, oh, sweet, buzzing, let's look for a short in this area? So again, if you're unsure, just sit on your hands, wait to see what NFP does, and then after NFP, you can make your decision. So other than that, guys, as I always say, I appreciate every single one of you. We are growing. 461, 65 subscribers, which is amazing. Absolutely insane, especially because I just started this out just to help like my community out. If you guys want to stay connected, go to my bio. I've got my free Telegram group, which is just basically more lifestyle. I've got my only Instagram. There's a lot of fake Instagrams out there. So, please be aware of that. And obviously, if you want to work with me, you can fill out this form as well. And just before we do finish, I want to show you a little bit about my community because some of the results are absolutely insane. Let me show you this. Let me show you guys this because, it is this our community is Empower Global Network. It's a privilege to be in this community. There's so many, my mentors is we're very passionate about, we have a motto called Healthy, Wealthy, Wise. And it is trading, but it's also helping people understand that this is a community to better themselves through multiple streams, but also through health, through, becoming more wiser, with the mind and so on and so on. Like, we have a lot of the lads and stuff who just hitting the gyms, going out, going for the runs, meeting up and doing whatever it is. A lot of women do in this community as well. We're massive on mindset. So as you guys can see, throwing in podcasts in there every single day. And then we obviously have other stuff as well, Investors Hub, which I won't go into. And then we just have like our general, I will show you results. Like if I just go on this, you can just see, I could flick through years of back data through this if I wanted to, but you can be able to see that there's a lot of people who, do different strategies, as well as myself. Um, and you can see that, they're getting obviously payouts, they're having live withdrawals. You can see this here. Where's it gone? I need to find that one from yesterday. But you guys can see, you can flick through this. It's an absolute privilege to be in this amazing community. I absolutely love it. There was one that I wanted to show you guys, but I don't know where it's gone, unless I've gone past it. Where's it gone? Where's it gone? Where's it gone? There we go. Walking done for the day, going to have my first 2K week withdrawal on his live account, which is just insane. Absolutely just insane. So, yeah, man. If you guys want to obviously know more information on how you can create multiple streams of income and not just be relying on just trading, I am your man. I am always truthful, as you guys know. I want you guys to understand that trading's one stream. You should always open up and have a bigger portfolio to basically learn multiple different skill sets, such as stocks, such as crypto, such as building portfolios in multiple different avenues, such as sales. Sales is a massive, massive industry that everyone should learn to do, where you can build communities and get paid for being an affiliate. There's so much stuff that you guys probably don't even know about, which I could help you with. So if you're interested, feel free to obviously fill out the form in my bio or reach out to me on Instagram. Other than that, guys, have an amazing rest of your NFP Thursday, which is weird because it's usually on Fridays. Take care as always.